This is that 63, 64, very early 64 with all 63 date codes, AA763 twin reverb. And it's had a lot of work to get it to this point. Total recap, a lot of stuff cleaned up. You can see the previous videos. I'll put links in the description. And speakers reconed by Dave Halford at Halford Loudspeakers. Did a great job. Everything sounded cool, except while I tried to save all the old RCA tubes, it just wasn't happening. The 6L6s were all microphonic, and I've got some tongue saw 6L6 GC STRs in there. It's biased about 54% idle. The old RCAs are in the tongue saw boxes to go back with the amp. The RCA preamp tubes were really noisy for V1, V2, and V4. So I ordered some new preamp tubes, ordered some tongue saws, 12AX7s, which have worked really well for me over many years with Fenders. But recently, they've begun to have a strange issue, which I've shown in a previous video, where if you have the tongue saw in there and the volume's at 0, you can still hear it through the amp. These are not tongue saws. You can't do that. So the brand new tongue saws had that bleed, and I thought before the other ones were just a bad batch or they'd aged oddly. But no, these tongue saws had channel bleed on each channel. So I took the brand new tongue saws out and I looked around for some tubes I had, and I tried some Mullard reissue tubes, CV4004 and a 12AX7. And I put them in V1 and V2. And the 12AX7 had no bleed, but was microphonic. The CV4004 was not microphonic, but it had the bleed issue, the same issue as the tongue saws. So I took those out, and I grabbed the two tube amp Dr. 12AX7s that I got for that matchless, which have about an hour of playtime, just to put in for test purposes. And neither one of them had the channel bleed, though one of them died after about 10 minutes use of work. So, you know, I'll get that swapped out. So on one level, someone was asking me the other day which preamp tubes I recommend for things. And in 2019, I could have told you. In 2021, it's, you know, between plant closures and distribution problems and production problems, you get the best tube you can get that you can afford. Don't pay extra for the Gold Lion and the Black Sable and all that nonsense where you're paying $50, $60 for a Sovtech in a different box with a different label on it. But, you know, of the regular tongue saws, of the regular JJs, the tube amp Doctor, the Sovtech, get what's available to you, because that's the number one thing happening in 2021. Get what they actually have stock of, and get from a vendor that will give you a return if you get a bum tube like I did on that tube amp Doctor. Then the issue is knowing whether you have a bum tube or not, like those 12AX7s and that Mullard CV4004 that have bleed in this Fender Twin. I've used that CV4004 in other amps with no issue. The second thing that was interesting to me is that all of the tubes which had the channel bleed, and that's the CV4004 and the tongue saw 12AX7s, are short plate tubes. The tubes which did not have the channel bleed are long plate tubes. So that's something I'll pay attention to with Fenders, at least for the next couple of months or a year. We'll see where we end up with tube production and quality. But since that tube amp Doctor tube died, the brand new one died in V1, I put in the old RCA that was in V4, which was just a little bit noisy. And the normal channel is sounding good, but listen to this. Let me roll down the volume on the guitar. That's the tube, not the channel. I put a different tube in there, and we may get channel bleed, or may get microphonics, but that noise isn't there. So that's one of the reasons that RCA is getting changed out. But aside from that, Got the mids up to where they'd be on a deluxe reverb. Channel sounding great. Go to the reverb channel. Notice that noise isn't there when I move the volume pot. Nice reverb on this one. Yeah, I'm rusty. Haven't played that one a lot in a long time, but what a great part. Add a little chorus to this and maybe some slapback and get that sound pretty well. I'm not a surf guitarist. Not only am I not a surf guitarist, I have not had nearly enough coffee to do tremolo picking. Anyway, the amp is overall sounding great aside from the tubes. You know, I try not to lean too heavy on the Stevie Ray and the Hendrix stuff. You know, there's just an awful lot of that on YouTube. It's good stuff. I love it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I love it myself. But you know, how many eruptions, how many Wind Cries Mary do we need? Well, maybe one more. Once the tubes are changed out and I finally get some that aren't problematic in any way, this amp will be done and the owner will be happy for a very long time.